Fire season is upon us, friends. I always thought there was something truly magical about a fire. Doesn't it seem so? Especially this one. Here, watch this. Well, it's good to have you back. Oh, you've never been here before? No, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to you. This is your first time peering through the looking glass, it seems. Well, I apologize for the lack of introduction. My name is Rijay Thistlewarf, and I am a diviner who lives high in the central Sieg Mountains where few but dragons dwell. I like it that way, in fact. Less solicitors. We have quite a cosmic gale howling tonight. I take it at least most of you are here to find out what stole Archmage Thurset's breath away when Valinrad showed him the insignia of a maw surrounding a pupilless eye. You want to know what in the coast made Archmage Thurset so frightened? Well, why don't I let him tell you himself? I give you the first part of the tale of Detester's Lair. A dark wind whistled outside like a deep subterranean gale, attempting to pry and crawl its way into the warm confines of the Red Tower. Archmage Thurset tossed another log into the fireplace. I shall present it to you straight, dear fellows. It seems the two black knights which you encountered while in Multes were also seeking a crystal of great magical power. Valinrad stepped forth with his breast aloft. They are followers of Flistel, aren't they? Members of one of the drow cults of the Visum province. They are, and they bore the symbol of the Detester, Nulzeed. Great Archmage Thurset placed his fingertips together to form a prism. He began to pace about the room amidst the crackles of the fire. That means they are undoubtedly members of the notorious Letsh, a small cult hidden in the southernmost region of the Windhouse Mountains.
Small, you say? Well, hopefully they aren't too much of a threat then.
Small they may be, Ubi, but they are nevertheless intensely dangerous. But the threat does not come from their manpower nor magical ability, but from their god. The Detester Nulzeed is perhaps the most serious threat to our material world. Nulzeed is a demon known as a Disith, hailing from Dis, the second of the 9 hells. His skin ever rotting and repairing, lipless fangs ever grinning, his 6 spindly appendages ever crawling, and eyeless except for the eye that rests at the tip of his tongue, never blinking. Being the alpha male of the Disiths, Nulzeed therefore ruled the realm with an indiscriminate hate. Yet unsatisfied still with the expanse of his kingdom, he vowed to find a way to the material plane. Here is where he now dwells.
If he's currently here on the material plane, then how have none of us learned about him?
Because, Raya, he dwells in the depths of the Underdark that even the Dwergar haven't reached. Supposedly he'd found a passage linking the realm of Dis to the material plane deep beneath the earth. It is said also that when he crossed into our world, the Council of Gods in Elysium responded by putting a hex upon him to distort his internal compass. He currently wanders like a man in a drunken stupor through the deepest reaches of the Underdark.
Well then, he's trapped down there. We have nothing to worry about. Right?
I'm not so sure, dear Ubi. You see, the Letsh are ruled by 4 accounts known as Archelites. The first Archelite and cult leader, Ashethester, has been trying to summon the god Nulzeed to the surface for many decades, from deep within his depth chamber, a place where one's own fears trump all other enemies. Thankfully, he seems to currently lack the magical potency to summon the demon god. But I fear that if he were able to acquire a crystal of similar potency to the one that you brought back, then perhaps he would be able to use its light as a lure to lead the demon god to the surface, where he would surely exact dominion over all of Ikalos.
It's a good thing we ran into those Dread Knights when we did,
uttered Retribution. It is a small chance they would have at summoning Nulzid, but a chance on which I am not willing to roll the dice. Archmage Thurset turned to face each of them. I am prepared to send each of you on a stealth mission to enter the Letsh Nexus and bring back the head of Detester and the rest of his acolytes. A stealth mission? Spoke Valinrad. Why not summon the united armies of the Fairkin to march on Windhoust and utterly raze the cult to the ground? Because, Valinrad, I don't want to draw the attention of the other more powerful cults in the Vism province. If legions of men march into that land, then we'll have found ourselves at war with every last drow in existence. Not a general in Ikalos knows the terrain even close to as well as the Dark Elves.
If we don't know the terrain, then how are we even going to find our way to Detester's lair? You said it was hidden, right?
I don't know the way, but I have someone who does. The Archmage gestured to the back of the room where a tall, horned shape stepped out from the doorway of Archmage Thurset's personal study. Her eyes seemed to glow with a smoldering flame, and a long red tail wagged by her feet. This is Lucia. She is a tiefling from the southern Vism province and an ex-member of an enclave of warlocks who used to trade regularly with the Letsh. Yet another warlock. She is of a cult herself, Thurset. Valinrad spoke, wrinkling his thick eyebrows. How can you expect us to trust her?
I hear your qualms, young paladin, and they are of reason, but I have been spying on the drow for the Archmage for some time, and I would never think to betray him. After all, I know no others who know the way.
Valinrad gripped his mace and peered tentatively through the slits of his eyelids, as if they were the eye slits on his great helm. Very well. The task lies before you clear as day, my friends, and the hour is nigh. Are you brave enough to accept it? For courage is required above all else. A long silence filled the room, along with shadows, as the fire had turned to but a pile of embers. The clicking of tiny shoes broke the silence as Ubi stepped forward, his legs trembling. The thought of proceeding with such a mission frightened him greatly, yet the thought of what might come to pass if he refused filled him with horror.
I am ready for the task, Archmage Thurset. Though I must say, courage is not one of my strong suits.
Valinrad stepped forward and put a hand on Ubi's shoulder. And I shall wield it for you, friend. The rest of the party soon stepped forward as well. Then you go with the light of the Hestoic sun, and under the guidance of Midhelber's night sky. Good luck, my friends. After a last restful night in the Red Tower, the party were soon off, heading northeast through the Shekvad Plains, on the outskirts of the allied lands of Aldia, and into the Windhouse Mountains. They wove through narrow ravines and along the sides of brambled cliffs in search of the Lair. What Ubi initially mistook as the heavy beating of his heart soon became evident as a pounding of distant tribal drums from somewhere far along the mountainscape. They soon came across an abandoned campfire in a gully filled with tumbleweeds. Horses were hitched in an alcove and left with several bundles of hay. Valinrad approached a gray speckled horse and began stroking its mane. I know this horse. It belongs to a dear friend of mine, a paladin of Veldsmine. His name's Oliver. He and his men-at-arms must have been tasked with a similar mission after I had initially left for the Red Tower. We must be close.
We are.
Spoke Lucia.
Let's go. We mustn't linger.
The party climbed out of the ravine to behold a broken archway in a valley. A door was carved into the mountainside in the shape of teeth. Stale smell in conjunction with an ominous primal chanting filled the air like smoke. Yet the voices seemed not to be coming from any one direction, but from all around, like an otherworldly aura that beckoned their approach.
I present to you the Letsh Nexus, Detester's Lair.
Pullifer's in there. I know it,
Well,
breathed Ubi amidst the thin air.
it's one step after the other. And if we all stick together, we'll be alright.
Ubi breathed in deeply and then whispered under his breath.
We'll be alright.
Down they went into the basin and were soon surrounded by a dry mist like a cloud of ash. Valinrad approached the door to inspect it, readying with his mace and shield.
Valinrad.
Spoke Lucia with caution in her voice. There must be a handle, some way in. He brushed his hand over the door. A sudden rumbling sound came from the gate, and before Valinrad could even raise his shield, a gust of devilish flame came bursting towards him. Lucia was behind him and just quick enough to grab him with her tail and hurl him to the ground.
I should have warned you. They much like traps.
Valinrad dusted himself off and rose to his feet. The party inspected the smiling door from afar to discover that there were empty slots above each of the teeth that made up the door. The party also discovered a great big bowl beneath the broken archway just before it. It held many stone cubes, each bearing a different symbol.
They look to be the same size as the slots above the door. Only question is, which one goes where?
Pondered Ubi. Raya wandered about the vestibule like a curious nymph. She gazed up at the archway above that was shrouded in the darkened haze, though her keen eyes caught a glimpse of some runic markings that were carved into it.
Hey everybody, look! There's runic markings on the arches,
She moved to inspect the cubes in the bowl beneath.
and they match the markings on the cubes.
I've got it. We'll just place the runes in the archway above the door the same way they're placed on the broader arches above us.
The party took each and every stone and placed them just as Ubi had suggested. The teeth that made up the door opened wide, revealing a foreboding tunnel of black, and it beckoned them with an enigmatic breath.
One step at a time.
And thus concludes Part 1 of the tale of Detester's Lair.